Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Senior Professor Ariyadurai onto the stage.
Good morning to all of you, and thank you very much for that introduction. I will be speaking for about 10 to 15 minutes on the topic of STEM education for future Sri Lanka. First of all, let me start with a small description of what is STEM. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, STEM is a curriculum based on the idea of educating students in 4 specific disciplines, which are science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Now, the STEM involves teaching these topics not independently, but in an interdisciplinary and applied approach. So that it will integrate into a cohesive learning paradigm based on real-world applications. Now, people have, after the STEM was introduced, some of them thought we need to add something to that. So there were certain extensions done. So STEM became STEAM by adding arts, and later some of them have added what is called STREAM, where R was added. So this R, some people use reading as one. Some have used research, the others have religion. However, STEM, we'll move to the STEM education, and there are a number of benefits coming off STEM education. These benefits are there in the slide, and I am not going to go into the details because everybody knows about these benefits. But then we'll look at why STEM is important. Now, if you look at STEM, if you study, it has been found that countries that have STEM education also rank high on innovation. For example, if you take Germany, Germany is ranked 3rd among the OECD countries, graduates with STEM, in the STEM fields, and has produced 53 patents for 1,000 researchers. Whereas USA, which is ranked 33rd among the STEM education, has produced 39 patents for 1,000 presentations, 1,000 researchers. When you consider the example of Sweden, Sweden is reputed for successfully commercializing innovative research as a STEM-induced or STEM-focused education system, where 90% of their Swedish children attend highly digitally equipped classrooms. And each year, they train their teachers on STEM education. My earlier speakers, both Professor Tushara Trishanta Nanyakara and Dr. Dujiba Samarasekar, they spoke about how in those countries technology has been used and the education has been changed. Now, why STEM matters? When you look at the example of Australia, it has been told that 50% of the current jobs with skill shortages are in STEM. Currently, there is a 50% shortages of STEM skilled people for jobs. And 75% in future, 75% of all new jobs will require skills in STEM. And 90% of the jobs need digitally skills the next 2 to 5 years. That is the case of Australia. So, how about the current situation in Sri Lanka? If you look at the Sri Lankan scenario, this is the latest statistics of our university intake. So if you look at here, you see there 92.3% of our intake is still in arts, education, management, and law. Very heavily loaded with arts. In the science streams, that is STEM specialized streams, there are only 7.77. When you compare these figures with other countries, for example, India currently 32% of the graduates coming out are on STEM. In the European Union, it is up to 40%. Then, if you look at other countries, can you go forward with the slides, please? In other countries, see, in Tunisia, it's 43.3%. Next slide. Right? In Singapore, we had the previous speaker speaking from Singapore, it's 35%. India, we have already seen 32%. So, when we compare to these countries, Sri Lanka is lagging very much behind. In Sri Lanka, the STEM opportunities available for our students is less than 8%, whereas in other countries, is between 20 to 40%. STEM directly contributes to economy. These are few country case studies. In Australia, they have done a study. They say just changing 1% of the workforce into STEM roles will add 55.74 billion Australian dollars to the GDP. In the USA, 1% increase in per capita physical expenditure for STEM education will increase real GDP per capita by between 13 to 15 trillion US dollars. China, India, Malaysia, everywhere they are talking about STEM because it is going to it contributes to the economy. If you look at STEM as the future, we see multiple issues that we face in the 21st century revolve around aspects of STEM. These issues can only be resolved with a STEM-educated workforce. So, what should Sri Lanka do? First of all, we need to look at, when we look at our situation in our schools, we need to increase STEM at schools. Currently, only 30% of the students follow STEM-related subjects in the GCE level classes. And if you look at the total schools we have, Sri Lanka has 10,155 government schools, of which only 2,932 have GCE level classes. Out of this, 2/3 of the schools do not have A-level science. In many, especially some of the districts away from Colombo, the students have to travel. If they want to do science-based A-levels, students have to travel a lot of long distances. I am told in Puttalam district, there are only 1 or 2 schools which offer A-levels in science. Now, so the other thing, the first thing is introduce A-levels, increase the STEM in schools. Then we need to introduce technology-supported education. COVID has necessitated this, but now we need to consolidate it and expand it. So this is a quote there which says, students' higher order thinking above and beyond content learning can be fostered by specific technology-supported pedagogic models. So if you want the students to have high order thinking, then we need to have technological supported, STEM supported education. Then we Dr. Dujiba was talking about the higher education reforms or change. In Sri Lanka, higher education reform, not only higher education, the total education reform is highly overdue. Our curriculum is very, very straitjacket. We need to make it flexible. The other day, Recently, the A-level results have been released. A friend of mine's son, he wanted to do in the advanced level classes 3 courses, one of the leading schools in Colombo. He wanted to do business studies, statistics, and economics. And the school said, statistics is not available. He cannot do statistics, right? Then, even in the A-levels, we have this, what's called physical science stream, biological science stream, commerce stream, art stream. In physical science and biological science, you don't have any choice. Those 3 subjects are fixed. We'll have to change. We'll have to have flexible curriculum, not only at the school level, even in the universities. Most universities, almost all universities, they are having straitjacket programs. No changes are allowed. And even the academics are resistant to that. We should have interdisciplinary degrees. We have only, most of the degrees are very traditional degrees we offer in this country. We don't have double majors. Many countries have double majors. A student can take 2 subjects. My niece in Australia at Monash University, she is doing a double major. One in mechanical engineering, the other one is in some other complete biomedical science or whatever. That's not possible in Sri Lanka. Double degrees. Students are not allowed to do 2 degrees, 2 institutes. Very late, only very recently, even they allowed the students to do degrees at any national university student to do a degree at the Open University. Open University is open to all, but it was closed to students who are following degrees at other universities. So we need to change, and there need to be paradigm shift. Otherwise, there is no way the Sri Lankan education can go forward. We need to think out of box. We have to be prepared to introduce unique features into our education system. I have put a slide of a Bachelor of Science degree requirement for the Boston, MIT Boston. They are the first year students, whatever field you are, whether you are doing engineering, whether you are doing arts, the first year is common for them. So everybody is taught some basic common education. Mathematics is there, physics is there, chemistry is there, biology is there, history is there, humanities also taught for science students, and science is taught for humanities students. So these type of things have to happen in Sri Lanka. Now this is a thing, I got it from an archive. It's not very old. During the last government's time, in the 2008-17, cabinet decision was made. It's an act. STEM Education Subjects Development Act was approved by the cabinet on the 29th August of 2017. Unfortunately, it did not go to the parliament and was not approved in the parliament. We don't know what has happened to that proposal, or whatever work done during that time is completely abandoned. And when a new government comes in, then the policies change and new policies are brought forward. So this way what happens, we don't have a continuity. Sri Lanka needs consistent national policies that would be implemented despite change of governments. And this is not only in education, I believe, it's also in other areas also this problem exists. So that is one other thing we need to do. But the good news is, currently, now we have a single Ministry for Education after a long battle. We used to have 5-6 ministries handling education as a subject. But currently, the good news is that we have one Ministry of Education, though under that there are 4 state ministries. However, that's a good thing. And because of that, a lot of changes could be made, a lot of understanding can be done. That is one thing. Then the Presidential Task Force on Educational Affairs was appointed last year. I was actively involved in that, and that task force has already released its reports for higher education, for school education, and also for vocational education. It's my belief that the recommendations there would be implemented. And at the school level, number of reforms are being now proposed, and it is planned that by 2024, most of these reforms will be introduced. And the University Act which we have is it was drafted in 1978, almost 50 years ago. At that time, there were only 4 universities. Now we have 16, 17 universities. Apart from that, we have non-state sector universities, and that University Act is very, very archaic. We need the new act, and I'm happy that the present University Grants Commission is proposing to come out with a new Higher Education Act. And a quality assurance bill for higher education is a must. We need an independent bill. That's a must. Then IT education. Currently, it's being promoted at school level, at university level. I hope it's fully all these and other planned reforms would be implemented, and with that, Sri Lanka will be able to take off with the education reforms, and that's our hope. So I finish my presentation with this quote from Nelson Mandela, which says, "Education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world." And I believe we will, in Sri Lanka, will be able to provide the appropriate education which is suitable for the 21st century that will enable Sri Lanka to be changed. Thank you very much.